So here's my logline. In an attempt to convince his groundbreaking creation, a sentient 200-pound robotic arm, to cooperate with the greedy tech giant that owns it, egotistical engineer Doug, funny last name, is forced to let the rambunctious arm out of the sterile lab and into his dilapidated life. There we go. Video over. No, video not over. Video just begun. Wow, starting with the ending first, check me out, non-linear storytelling. Today, I'm gonna tear and tell you about how I wrestled what I hope and pray and beg and plead is a decent logline out of the heavens and onto the page. The birds know I'm recording. When last we met, I had some bad loglines and a bunch of questions. Let's go look at that guy. When an egotistical community college computer science teacher creates artificial life, he discovers that the world is far less interested than he assumed, and that rather than making him a star, this new rambunctious life form is making his life hell. The egotistical inventor of a sentient AI hunts for fame and fortune while struggling to maintain the cooperation of the rambunctious new life he's created in an increasingly self-absorbed world. What a true idiot. The only good thing that he ever did was pave the way for me. So let's do a little case study on how I went from an objectively bad logline to a probably not perfect but definitely better logline. And I'm really setting myself up to just get roasted by Kyle from episode 6. After last episode, I went absolutely scampering through my brain bog, trying willy-nilly to come up with answers to my 5 questions and acorns to stow away for the winter. I had so many ideas that were not it. Min had been a chef, but maybe actually she was an engineer like Doug. And maybe she and Doug created A1 together, and when A1 proved too willful for their employer, Doug refused to give up on the project, and Min and him parted ways because she felt like his obsession was ruining her career. Wild stuff. But notably, backstory. It didn't help me know what Doug and A1 would be doing in episode 1. What were they pushing against? Where were they pushing against it? How would Doug be striving for his goal? I'm just restating my questions now. Eventually it dawned on me that I didn't know what my show was dramatizing. Dramatizing, or dramatization in this context, is a off word. That means the act of laying the elements of story over some recognizable part of the world, either real or imagined. A TV show might dramatize working in an ER, or it might dramatize working in the Parks and Rec department of a small town, or it might dramatize being a graphic designer on Mars. And while some of those jobs might sound naturally more interesting to you than others, none of them naturally adhere to a 3-act structure. If you are actually the obscenely wealthy children of a media mogul, you might not worry about who gets to take the title from daddy when he retires. You might just be rich. In fact, most rich people just be rich. But that's not good TV. The thing that I realized is that there had to be a show like my show. There's a show like every show. We've dramatized everything. If not the absolutely specific job, then at least the form and the shape. Succession is like Arrested Development, which is like Empire, which I don't know, is probably kind of like Downton Abbey. It's a show about wealthy families whose money and business and family are all mixed up together. Without a mechanism for Doug to clearly pursue but not achieve his goal of becoming renowned for A1, I just have a show about a man living with a weird thing. I have American Dad. I have Mork and Mindy. I have Alf. Alf. I don't want Alf. Sorry, Alf. So I have to keep looking. I'm a theme head, a theme boy, a real Themesaurus Rex, a theme dome, if you will. I think that a strong exploration of a theme sits at the heart of most of the things that I like. And often, when I run into something that I don't like, if I think about it for a while, it'll come down to having a lack of care or clarity around a central theme. And so, I feel very lucky that while I was trying to sort this stuff out, the algorithm brought me Local Script Man. Specifically, his video encapsulating his thoughts on theme. I have no idea his influences, but the video reminded me of some of the best stuff I'd seen from lightly anonymous writer, film critic Hulk, and Michael Arntz, the writer of Little Miss Sunshine's mandatory video endings, The Good, the Bad, and the Insanely Great. Links to them all down there. Local Script Man slapped me in the face for an incredibly succinct 3 minutes and 13 consecutive seconds and really reminded me who I am, Kyle Thiemanson. My original premise, which I still like, which is a good sign after you really kicked it into the dirt for a couple of months and changed everything you possibly could around it, is that a guy brought a computer to life, but it hasn't brought him the recognition he thought it would. And so it sounds like this guy has some issues with validation, but I don't think he'd see it as, I'm going to accomplish this crazy thing and then I'll be validated, because that, to a great big smarty pants, would seem too shallow. He'd see it as purpose. He has a purpose, and the world just doesn't understand it yet. And what about A1? A1 might have been built to try and gain Doug acclaim, or he might have been built to weld Ford four-doors together, or it could have been both. The only redeeming part of my bad Loglines last week was hunts for fame and fortune while struggling to maintain the cooperation. That tension. A1 is not like, yeah, whatever you want, dude. A1 has its own, probably evolving opinions on what it wants, what its purpose is. So, themes are purpose and validation. Maybe purpose and validation, as ideas, live so close together, are related enough, have enough interplay between them that they're actually one theme. In real life, the last 45 seconds of words took several days, but in taking the time to really dig into the theme, I was able to refocus on what was bedrock important to this idea. And nowhere in that theme is it mandatory that Doug and A1 have already been rejected by the kind of companies that you'd think would be obviously interested in them. So what if Doug worked for a Google, Amazon, Microsoft, whatever, and he thinks A1 is done because A1 has weekly evolving opinions on Dancing with the Stars and the ability to experience boredom. But they have very different, far more corporate efficiency stock price kind of ideas about what A1's purpose is. And unless Doug can convince them that A1 is what they want, or convince A1 to be what they want, his dream of being a rock star, playboy science god remains out of reach. He wants to be a f***able Neil deGrasse Tyson. Should that be in the logline? Put it in the logline. And that sounded good, so I wrote a bunch of loglines. Here's the best one. Doug is desperate to convince his mysterious boss that his life's work, a sentient 200-pound robotic arm, is ready to be revealed to the world. But Doug's big metal son just wants to have fun. And then I got some notes.
I don't know what Doug does. It matters what he does, because that's one of the pieces of information, very few that I have about him. And a mysterious boss is interesting because is he a henchman? Because if he's a henchman, it's normal to have a mysterious boss. Does he work at a copy repair place? Then it's weird. I want to know more. A 200-pound sentient robotic arm is very weird and funny. I would want to know, in not just revealing, what does the arm do? It's ready to engage with the world. I do want to really know about this robotic arm, and I want to know, what does Doug want it to do, and what does the arm want to do?
You may have picked up on it at this point, but I turned A1 into a giant robotic arm because it was funny to me. I hope that mentally, visually, you also like arm. The notes were correct. What is everyone doing? Why does Doug want the arm to be revealed? What's this mysterious boss's deal? And how does the big metal son's desire to have fun affect any of this? So, I wrote a bunch more loglines. Here's the best one. Egotistical engineer Doug, funny last name, is desperate to prove his revolutionary creation, a sentient 200-pound robotic arm, can be an obedient electronic employee to the unimpressed tech giant that's financing him. But the arm just wants to have fun, man. And I got some more notes.
Sorry, Kyle. We're in the airport. Sorry.
I realized that actually these loglines were focusing on the wrong relationship. In these ones, Doug is trying to prove things to his employer, but Doug has by far the stronger relationship with A1. This show is about them. This show is about a duo whose goals are inescapably linked both at work and at home. It's a high-ish concept workplace comedy where Doug's most important coworker follows him home, and the lines between coworker and family and product and friend are increasingly blurred. My show suddenly felt like shows I liked. Felt good. Let's bring those questions back. What is the world? It's the pristine lab juxtaposed with Doug's derelict life outside of it. The obsession that allowed him to create A1 has come at a cost. Doug needs to let A1 into his life if he wants A1 to cooperate back at the lab. But Doug's life, it's not good enough. It's not enough for A1. It's too for A1. So he's gonna have to slowly change. Meanwhile, the more A1 knows to be possible in life, the harder it will be to conform in the lab. But the closer he gets to Doug, the more he'll care about Doug's happiness, the more he'll be torn between what he, A1, wants and what seems possible, and what would make Doug happy. And I think the same will be true for Doug going in the reverse direction. So how can Doug get close but not too close? Make him report to his gatekeeper every day. And since he works for them, he made A1, but they own A1. So he needs them to move the project forward. Who personifies Doug's lack of recognition? His boss, a Philistine in a suit who doesn't give a about computer sentience unless it guarantees shareholder value. What's the inciting incident? The day that Doug takes A1 home to try and bribe the robot into behaving. What does A1 think of Doug's goal? He's suspicious of it, but if A1's gonna get the freedom he increasingly desires, then he needs Doug as much as Doug needs him. Quid pro quo. Quid robo pro quo. Quid robo pro. I probably got that the first time. So then I wrote so many more log lines and I landed where we began. In an attempt to convince his groundbreaking creation, a sentient 200-pound robotic arm, to cooperate with the greedy tech giant that owns it, egotistical engineer Doug, funny last name, is forced to let the rambunctious arm out of the sterile lab and into his dilapidated life. I'm proud of him. I'd love to say that this logline is perfect, that I have completely triumphed over this challenge and vanquished the evil logline forever, but it's not true. Right now, Doug's objective is to convince A1 to cooperate. Maybe it'd be better if the objective in the logline made reference to Doug's larger desire to gain renown for his great achievement. Quite possibly. Also, there's lots of word choice in here, especially with the descriptors like greedy and rambunctious that could probably be better chosen, and it would be better if I could find a way to bring in an individual who represents the company into this logline rather than just calling it a tech giant. And hey, if you've got a note, post it. Post that note, bro. But let's not lose sight of the fact that what I set out to do in writing the logline is hone the actual premise itself, condense the ideas until they felt solid. From episode 1 to now, I've shed most everything I came up with, but the core is much denser. Maybe Prakash or Min or Sunny or Sudi will come back exactly how they were, or piecemeal, or chopped up and stuck back together as Franken characters, but whoever else joins the crew will do so because they have a different perspective to offer on the themes of purpose and validation. And so, it feels like I'm building on a solid foundation. And that feeling will go away, but does it feel good when you got it for a second. So thank you for watching this one. Thank you, Local Script Man. And sorry to Thought Slime, who already drew A1 in his former family. Dog, I would love to see your take on the big cute metal arm, especially if you keep it in overalls. In fact, canonically, the armor's in overalls. The arm wears overalls. You gotta keep it in overalls. Like and subscribe. Keep it the f up. Love ya. See ya next time. I gotta admit something to you. I have a Patreon. I made a Patreon. It's there. It's your support would mean the world to me, and it's not mandatory, of course. Imagine if it was. But there it is. Better to have than to need and not need. Is that a maxim? I don't know. You get it. This is day one of me saying you could give me money. I'll get better at it. I'll get more comfortable at it. I'll get too comfortable at it. I'll get greedy. I'll be slapping at your pockets, seeing if you got anything in there. I'll carry around one of those little Apple Pays right between my shoulder blades. You give me a whack on the back. Oh, that was $20. Sorry, buddy. I hope you have a good day. Thank you so much for watching this. Okay.